Welcome back, we continue. So in this part we are going to work on software protection. So we will make use of license keys and we will learn how to generate and use them. We will use hashing algorithms and in addition we will work with the registry. So let's get started. As always, we start by updating the program's version. And by the way, I suppose this should be the last update of the version, and in the next parts we are going to just improve the existing one. I will go to our main window, and here I will make just 2 slight or even 3 slight improvements. So first of all, I want this window to start on center screen. Also, I want to use layout rounding and set it to true, and also I will need to access its loaded event. Okay, so press F12. Okay, and we can move this method up below below set language dictionary method. Okay, we will store the public part of the license key in the registry. So first of all, we will need to access it. So we will need a string. So it's going to be full registry path, and it will be equal to, say, hk underscore current user, and here you put backslash, then software. Well, I suggest that you put it here, and usually here goes the company name. I will just put Quasimodo programs, and here goes again usually the product name. So let it be BT, which stands for Blue Timer. This is the path to the registry, and below we will have a string for registry value name. The value name is going to be key. Well, you can make it like this or even type something completely different, it doesn't matter, but just to keep it logical, I'll leave it as it is. Now, I'm going to reuse our license and software protection stuff. So I will create a separate class for this. So add class. I'm going to call it QP underscore helpers. QP again stands for Quasimodo programs. So this class is going to be public, and well, I'm going to make this class multi-purpose. So I will create regions for different stuff, a region for license stuff, and here I will create just one method called public static string get register, and here I specify the full registry path and also registry value name. So this method will just return the value of type string, and we need to access the registry class in Microsoft Windows 32, and its method called getValue, and here we pass our full registry path and registry value name. Oh, and also it has the third argument like default value. Well, just type none here. Okay, so now let's get back to the code of our main window, and here I will create a shortcut to this class. It's going to be called QP, and it will be equal to QP. Oh, one moment. I also want this namespace to be QP helpers so that we can reuse this class in multiple projects. So QP helpers, this was the namespace, then goes the class name, and that's it. Now we can use it. So here we need to get the key. So key, by key I mean the current key that is stored on this machine. So QP get register, and here we pass a full registry path and registry value name. Okay. Now, in addition, we need to check whether our program is already licensed or not. So, also I will create a public property of type bool here. We'll name it underscore is licensed, and we'll have get and setter. So I will create a method which will return bool, and it will be called is licensed. It will accept a key that we are going to compare and the resource name, which will be the resource where we store our different values to compare with. So I will create a string array here for license keys. I know what you might be thinking, that if we store it here then it's not safe. No, wait a minute, it is, but we'll look at it a bit later. Also, we need to get the current assembly, so var assembly equals assembly, control dot to include it, period get executing assembly. Now here, using stream, control dot to include it, called stream, which will be equal to assembly period get manifest resource stream, and here we will pass our resource. Our resource is going to be just a text file included in this project, but invisible to the outside world. So, and below this using we will have another one for a stream reader. So using stream reader called reader, initialize it with the new stream reader, and here we pass our stream. Okay, so here first we will fill this array using our stream reader. So reader dot read to end, and then split, and I'm going to split it in environment new line and convert it to char array, and set string split options to set it to remove empty entries. Okay, next we also need to here we will start working with hashing as well. So there are different hashing algorithms, but one of the most prominent ones is called MD5. So using MD5, press Ctrl dot, and you see that it is contained in system.security.cryptography, and I'll name it MD5 hash. So here you call MD5 and its create method. Don't worry, you don't have to understand how it works, just follow me along. So we check if license keys contains, so if any of string values inside this array is equal to get well, we need rather a bit complex method here, so let's create a new method here, public static string, and I'll call it get md5 hash. So we will accept md5 hash and string input. So a little bit about MD5. MD5, it's of course the fifth version of the MD algorithms of caching. So previous versions were deprecated because when you converted some string to the hash format, there were still some cases where you could decode it. So MD5, as far as I know, doesn't have this drawback. So let's continue. First, we will convert the input string to a byte array and compute the hash. Don't worry, I also got this code from somewhere, and you don't really have to understand how it works. You just need to call this method. So byte array called say data equals md5 hash and has a method called compute hash, and here we pass the encoding. So encoding here UTF-8 get bytes, and here we pass our input. Okay, so we got a byte array, and then we create a new string builder. So create a new string builder to collect the bytes and create a string. Okay, so you create a new string builder. Let's call it as builder and set it equal to new string builder. Then you loop through each byte of the hashed data and format each one as a hexadecimal string. So you create a loop. So int I equals 0, I is less than data length, and I equals +1 on each iteration. So we access our string builder and call its append method. And we pass here our data at the index and we convert it to string. And we set its format to x2. Okay, and after this we return the hexadecimal string, and here we just return it as builder. Oh, to string. Again, do not worry that you don't understand it. If you do, well, congrats, but I myself actually don't completely, because I also found it somewhere on the internet. So we check if license keys, our string array of keys, if it contains, and here we call our method called getMD5 hash, and here we pass our MD5 hash and key. So if it is, we then return true. So our program is licensed. If our license key is in the array of licensed keys, because we could also pass an invalid key. So if we did that, we passed an invalid key, we return false. As easy as that. Okay. So now back to our main window and its loaded event. So here we check if key is not null. So if we already passed some key to the program and it is licensed, and we check its key, and we will access a txt file which I will put here, called well, first we type our assembly name, bluetimer, then license keys.txt. So I will call this file as this, and then if it is licensed, so if this key is inside this file, we will set qp dot is licensed to true, and we will unlock some features in our program, like grid for presets, and for example this checkbox. So let's set it, it's is enabled property to false, and and let's do the same for the subtimer. So if we use a trial version, then we cannot use presets or sounds, and we cannot turn the subtimer on. So if we have a licensed key, we unlock such features. I will create a new method for it. Press Ctrl dot, generate method. So let's make it public. So unlock full, and here we type grid underscore presets is enabled equals checkbox subtimer is enabled equals checkbox sound is enabled, and set it to true. So we unlock all of these features, I test all of these controls only if we have put the valid license key. Otherwise, if we have put an invalid key or haven't put anything at all, then we set the is licensed property to false, and also we will show a window for entering the key. So this opacity property equals dark opacity. So now I will create a new window. So add new window. I'll call it window buy, because users will be able to buy keys there as well. Well, it will be just a window where will be a button which will redirect them to some website. So let's put this window in the Windows folder. Okay. So if we don't have a license key, we create a new window by, let's call it win equals new window by, and we set owner to this window, and also we don't show it in test bar, so set it to false, and after that you show this window, show dialog, and after this window is shown, you change this opacity back to 1, and you again show it in test bar, so set it to true. I haven't created this file yet. Well, let's do it now. So add new item, and here find text file, and I'll name it license keys click on this file and in its properties select embedded resource, I guess. Yeah, so you see we don't have a license key, so we have this window popped up. Okay, so now you will learn how to create license keys. There are many websites where you can generate your license keys or passwords. It doesn't matter because you can use whatever as your license key, but the safer the better. So what I have found yesterday is passwordgenerator.net, and here it's plus subpage because it has more options that I need. So here you can set the password length. 16 should be enough. So I recommend checking include numbers, include lowercase characters and uppercase. You shouldn't restrict it by beginning with a number or symbol. Well, there are many options and you can customize your generated passwords. And here you select the quantity. 50 should be enough for demonstration. So just click generate, and they're not the same. Well, you can generate a lot of them. So you copy them here, and then this website also has another subpage called MD5 hash generator. As you see, there are different hashing algorithms. One of them is MD5 hash. What you need to know about MD5 hashing is that the same string gets generated the same way every time. So Q is always Q. And lowercase and uppercase characters are not the same. So if you put an uppercase Q, you will get a completely different hashing. So you put these passwords here and make sure you treat each line as a separate string, because otherwise you will get this. And it doesn't matter lowercase or uppercase, you do want to keep them associated somewhere. So I like using Word for this purpose. So first I will copy the passwords, I paste our passwords here, then I create a table, and then I insert a column to the right. Now this column is selected, and here I copy our hashes and put them here. And this is how you get associate your license keys with their hash codes. So now you would want to save, but not in your program, because they are for internal use, like for delivering keys. So you will deliver these keys, and when they are processed by MD5 hash, you will get this. So in our program, we will store only these MD5 hash values, and it's impossible to tell how to get them. So again, specifically this file should be stored only on your site, and you shouldn't distribute it. And when you provide keys for those who purchase your license keys, these are your license keys. You should only provide these. And in our program, we will store only these hash values. So nobody should associate these, only you. So you would want to save it as a txt value, or just copy this table, paste them here, and now they are tab separated. So we can save this file. I saved this file in the same folder where our project is, but now I need to save only these values. Well, actually I can just copy them and open our license keys file and paste them here. And there you have 50 license keys. So just to explain it a bit better, there is you, the developer, and you have license keys and hashes. There is a customer, and he wants to use your program without limits. So he gives you money and he gets license keys. If he doesn't want to give you money, so he wants to get it for free, he can try to crack your program, or rather guess the license key. And he could reverse engineer your program and get the list of the needed hashes. But the thing is, even if he does get the list of these hashes, the program won't accept hashes. It will accept license keys, which aren't stored anywhere in the program. And that is the benefit of using MD5 hashing. So I will just design our window for buying. So let's make it a bit smaller, like 300 by 300. I will place it in 3 rows. The first row will be a button. Well, I will just have 3 buttons. Oh no, rather the first button will just close the window, so grid row equals 0. Name will be button cross, content will be cross, horizontal alignment will be right, foreground will be hash AAA, then style will be static resource transparent button. It will have a click event. Let's name it button underscore close click. Press F12. Now we'll make it bold and we'll give it font size to be 18. Let's build the project, because right now we cannot see our window in the design view. I think we should start the program. Yeah, here it is. But it's not here, so let's close it and let's open it again. Here. Good. Now, in the second row, we will have a text box for entering our license key and a button to submit it. So, grid row will be equal to 1. It will have grid column definitions, and it will have 2 column definitions. So here, it will the first column we will have a text box. So it is grid column to 0. Let's name it tb underscore. Let's say it password. We don't really want it to be like super obvious for people with malicious intentions. Next, the tooltip will be license key. Then we will have a button to submit. So put it in grid column 1. Its name will be button underscore register, and it will need a click event. Press F12. Its content is going to be register, and let's set its margin to 0. Now in the third row we will have a button again. It will be in grid row 2. Its name will be button buy, and its click event. Press F12. It will have a khaki background. Its content is going to be buy, and let's set its margin to 0500. Now press F7 to view the code, and here in the constructor, the first thing that we want to do when we see this window is focus it, because it does not always come first. Then we access our button register click. Well, when we click register, we check if let's create a shortcut here. So using qp equals qp helpers, qp helpers. So if qp is licensed, and we check tb password.text, and the resource name is going to be again the assembly name bluetimer and the file name license keys.txt. So here we again type string full registry path equals at hkey underscore current underscore user backslash software, and make sure that it is the same that you have written in main window. Then the company name Quasimodo programs backslash bt semicolon, then string registry value name, and here again it should be the same as in main window key. Now we need another method for setting the register, so we will set the current key to the key that was input by the user. So let's create another method for this. So again public static, but this time void set register. It will accept full registry path and registry value name, and also value. Type registry, but this time instead of get value type set value, and you pass full registry path, registry value name, and value. Okay, good. So back to our window by, we set register to full registry path, registry value name, and the value is going to be tb underscore password text, and we set qp dot is licensed to true, and we will show a message box with text successful registration, and we will call the unlock full method on our main window, and we made it public because we can access it from here then. So owner as main window dot unlock full, and after that we close this window. But if the input key wasn't licensed, we show just a message box saying the key is not licensed, and that's it. And when we click the buy button, we will just start our browser. So type process control dot start, and here you pass the path to your website where users can purchase license keys. And when we click the close button, we just close our window. And now we can check how it all works. If you don't have a license key, you will have this buy me window. You can close it, and then you don't have access to these functions. So right now it's just a regular timer. But if you do want to try, so if you click buy, you get forwarded to a website, and if you, for example, try to register an empty key, you will get the key is not licensed. And if you try and use an actual key here, first let's put 1 to make a mistake. The key is not licensed. Let's make it uppercase. the key is not licensed, and let's restore the original key, like here, and we try to register it, and yeah, successful registration. And now your presets are unlocked, your sound and subtimer options are unlocked as well. If you try to restart your program, it already unlocks the features for you, because the current key is already stored in the registry. So that's how you do software protection. So if this tutorial helped you, please subscribe, it will help me a lot. Take care.